Welcome to In the Loop, the show where we explore the artists reshaping music across Asia and beyond. I'm your host, Charlie, and tonight, we're stepping into a world of neon lights, sleepless nights, and emotions too heavy for words alone. Some artists make music for parties. Others make music for heartbreak, but some artists create worlds built from silence, loneliness, and the hope that somehow, sunrise will still come. This is the story of Nash, a rising artist from Vietnam turning isolation into cinematic pop. This is Nash, a solo artist from Quy Nhơn, Vietnam, creating cinematic electropop, inspired by loneliness, silence, and the strange feeling of driving through empty streets after midnight. Inspired by artists like The Weeknd, Troye Sivan, and Dua Lipa, Nash blends shimmering synths, trap-influenced percussion, emotional vocals, and atmospheric production into music that feels intimate and cinematic at the same time. Growing up in a quiet apartment block near the coast, Nash often felt disconnected from the world around him. While other kids played outside, he stayed inside listening to music through cheap headphones, searching for something he couldn't explain yet. Everything changed the night he discovered an old USB drive filled with unfinished electronic tracks and broken sounds. The music was incomplete, messy, almost forgotten, but to Nash, it sounded alive. Music quickly became more than a hobby. For Nash, it became escape, a way to express loneliness, pressure, and emotions too difficult to explain through words alone. But there was a problem. His parents believed music was unstable and unrealistic. They wanted him focused entirely on academics and a safer future. So while the apartment slept, Nash secretly taught himself music production using free software, online tutorials, and broken headphones taped back together. The more he learned, the more he realized he didn't just want to make music, he needed to. Eventually, Nash stopped waiting for permission. Night after night, he taught himself how to produce, mix, and shape emotional electronic soundscapes. Then, for the first time, he uploaded his music online. The release was called My Own Way, a project about isolation, freedom, and choosing your own future, despite fear. Slowly, listeners began responding. The likes, reposts, and messages weren't massive, but they were enough to make Nash believe people were listening. Encouraged by the response, he began working on a larger project, Dawn, an EP about surviving darkness and finding your own light before sunrise. But creating Dawn came with pressure Nash wasn't prepared for. He constantly questioned whether his music was too emotional, too cinematic, too different from mainstream Vietnamese pop. Some online comments called the sound too dark or too foreign. At the same time, Nash became obsessed with perfection, rewriting lyrics, re-recording vocals, and barely sleeping. The deeper he went into the project, the more isolated he became. He wanted emotional honesty without losing the polished energy of modern pop music. Somewhere between ambition and exhaustion, his confidence started slipping. And somewhere inside that exhaustion, Nash discovered something unexpected. The song sounded strongest when he stopped trying to impress people. The more honest the music became, the more powerful it felt. Instead of hiding vulnerability, he leaned into it. Dawn transformed into a cinematic story about fear, loneliness, release, and emotional rebirth. Across the tracks My Own Way, No Looking Back, and Into the Light, Nash stopped chasing perfection and started trusting himself. And listeners connected with it because it felt real. But every breakthrough came with a cost. Nash had spent so long living inside his music that the outside world slowly disappeared. Friendships faded, messages went unanswered, his mental health suffered. Some nights he wondered if the pressure was worth it at all. The EP forced him to revisit loneliness, fear, and emotional wounds he had spent years avoiding. For a while, the music stopped completely. Then something changed. Fans began sharing stories about how Dawn helped them through loneliness, anxiety, and uncertainty. Nash realized the music was no longer just about him anymore, it had become a connection. Slowly, he returned to creating with clearer purpose and less fear. He began planning the next chapters of his trilogy, Ascension and Vision. For the first time, Nash wasn't just surviving silence. He was building a future from it. Today, Nash is no longer just a student secretly making music after midnight. He has become an artist, building an entire cinematic world from vulnerability, atmosphere, and emotional honesty. With Dawn, Ascension, and Vision, he hopes to create more than songs he wants to create, a safe space for listeners who feel misunderstood, restless, or trapped between darkness and hope. Because for Nash, music was never about escaping emotions, it was about surviving them. Nash began alone, just a laptop, a pair of headphones, and emotions too difficult to explain out loud. Along the way, he faced pressure, isolation, self-doubt, burnout, and the fear of being truly seen. But instead of running from those feelings, he transformed them into music that helped others feel less alone. And maybe that's what makes artists like Nash matter. Not because they have all the answers, but because they remind us that even in darkness, people are still searching for light. Thanks for watching In the Loop. I'm Charlie. Keep listening, keep discovering, and remember, sunrise always comes eventually.